have been broken. Mistakes were made.
Tears of joy because number 44.
Yeah, ain't no way Lewis and George are in the top 3 when Mercedes has been so bad. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wheel It Up, where me, Chanise, and
Me, Simone.
we talk all things Formula One. This weekend was the British Grand Prix. We were at Silverstone. Woo, woo, woo.
Well, not physically, but that's where it was.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I should have clarified. We weren't there, but we keep saying this. Oh, next year we'll be there. Yeah, we weren't physically there, but we were definitely watching it. And wow, at one point, I was genuinely lost for words apart from screaming. Records have been broken. Mistakes were made, but excitement also came from, well, I'm just going to say it because if you don't know, where have you been? Obviously, Lewis had only gone and won the bloody thing. His first race win in 2.5 years since 2021, Simone. What?
Honestly, Chanise, crying.
Literal tears.
Actual tears of joy because number 44. What? Oh my God. I can't believe it. I can't believe it and I can't believe it. But you know what? Actually, when I was on the way from the market this morning and it was raining, I was like, oh, this is great weather for Lewis. This is great weather for Lewis. It's rubbish that it's raining on the 7th of July, but this is good for Lewis because he loves the rain. And this boy is a water baby. Okay? He loves it.
I'm so glad you picked up on that because at the start of the race or even the preamble, they were like, oh, there might be some rain coming. We're predicting rain. I was thinking, wait a minute, rain? Did I hear rain? It's going to be good news. It's going to be amazing news. And I know that obviously like Lewis and Lando, to be fair, aren't too bad at driving in the rain. And one of the things I did think was if Lewis and Lando, I mean, they were already in a good starting position. So if Lewis and Lando pull this out the bag and it's raining, what? There's just sometimes there's no words. There's just no words.
But we need to go back to Saturday a minute and just set the scene of this up. Like I only caught a little bit of quali because I was at work. But listen, okay, quali was happening, and I saw in Q1 and Q2 that certain drivers weren't doing too well. And even I thought, oh, Max might put it on top, but actually, even in practice, they weren't doing that well because practice Mercedes were doing well. So I was like, all right, cool, quali, we might see something. So when it got to final quali Q3, and I'm seeing George Russell first, Lewis Hamilton second, Lando Norris third, I was like, 3 British drivers like locking out the front row.
1, 2, 3. First time, by the way, it's ever happened.
Couldn't believe it. I said, bloody hell, we're on for something here. This is it. This is it. This is it. But you know what? Silverstone never disappoints.
Yeah.
It absolutely doesn't. I think it was just like a good sporting weekend for England and for Britain in terms of like everything that was happening. So that happened on Saturday. You know what I mean? We had that early on, and then 5 o'clock England kick off against Switzerland, and I'm just like, whoa. This could go either way, but then I pulled it out of the bag last minute. Well, I say last minute, well, it went to penalties.
It really was last minute. You couldn't get any later minute, later minute. I don't know what the phrase. You can't get any more last minute penalties. Okay, extra time and penalty. There was no. Honestly, sport was popping off this weekend. I thought the same thing. Like even Wimbledon is on at the moment. I was actually almost late to this recording because I was stuck watching Emma Raducanu playing tennis, and I was like, oh, because after she dropped out of the doubles, I was thinking, wow, she better win now. I don't know if she has, Simone. I've been hearing a little bit of it going on downstairs, and I don't know if she's done it.
No.
Yeah, I don't know if she has. I know our podcast, everyone, is about F1, but you have to admit that British sport has been popping off this weekend. England are one step closer to bringing it home in the football, and Lewis, our baby boy, brought it home. Hey,
He did. He brought it home. He flew. that car home. And let me tell you, yeah, last week, I know we didn't record last week, but Toto Wolff said, you know, when they were asked, you know, when Crofty said, well, you think you can get another win then? Obviously, George Russell running the Austrian Grand Prix, and he says, we're going to get Lewis a win this year. And I remember that in the back of my head, and I was like, all right, Toto, I remember you said that. I remember you said that. Okay, cool.
And we'll hold you to account.
You know what I mean? Because you said it with such chest, like, yeah, it's coming. And I was like, but when? Because they said it like they know something that we don't. And obviously they probably do know something that we don't. So to see it come to fruition a week later, my God.
7 days after he said it. And what's so funny is normally, if you're a regular listener, we have a third, I don't know, a third driver on our podcast. We're not drivers, but, you know, a third chatter, a third with us, Anita, and she's all about the conspiracy theories, right? And her conspiracy theories really popped into my head this Sunday, because I was thinking, nah, ain't no way Lewis and George are in the top 3 when Mercedes has been so bad, by the way, this season. And not only is now like and Lewis, yeah, we know he's a good driver, we know he's experienced, blah, 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 we know he should win at Silverstone, whatever, but he hasn't won at Silverstone for the last 2 years. So what is it this week and this race that has made Mercedes and his car so good? Because I was like, there ain't no way. Like, if Anita was here now, she'd be saying, nah, how did Toto call in 7 days' time that Lewis was going to win a race? They've definitely done something to his car.
They've turned it up. They've turned up the speed. They have turned up the speed, right? They've turned it up. They've done something that is unexplainable, because I thought this car, I thought this car was crap. I'm not going to say it was a pile of shit as much as it was last year's car, but we haven't seen Lewis on a podium since what? 2 years?
It was 2021.
2021? That's more than 2 years. We're in 2024 now.
Yeah.
We're in 2024. Do you know how much happened since then?
Yeah, it's literally 2.5 years since his last race win.
Lewis is nearly 40, okay? That's a long time.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been a long time since.
It's time to take a lap.
Let's get into the race. Let's take a lap.
So I think Lewis had a good start, right? And George had a decent start as well, actually. When I saw these 3 at the top just taken away, and for once it was not Max, I was actually quite excited. I almost called you Lewis.
I mean, I don't know. I could be giving Lewis vibes. I'm here for it. A humble winner. Oh wait, no, I don't really win a lot, but a humble being, occasionally emotional, release all the pent up emotion. Yeah, I could be a bit of Lewis. I'm here for that. That's a compliment, Simone.
I was going to say, Chanise, you watched it more than me. I was on the phone, as you know, I was on the phone. There's actual evidence of this.
Sorry, Simone. There is evidence. And can I just say, Simone, I was calling Simone, what's going on with us? Simone was sending us screenshots in the WhatsApp group chat saying, this was my reaction to when Lewis did this, that, and the other. And I was thinking, Simone, what are you doing on the phone? I didn't say anything, but what are you doing? It's Silverstone. Lewis is taking the lead. Lando at one point was having I say at one point, he overall it was decent, but couple of mistakes, but Lando was doing well too. Simone, what the hell were you doing on the phone? And I thought it better have been a bloody good phone call.
Listen, my friend was in a crisis, okay? And I was being the good friend that I am. But I was keeping one eye on that TV, so I knew what was happening. And she was like, why is your face like that? And I was like, because Lewis has taken the lead of the race. And she was like, what's happening? She's not a sport person. She has no idea what the hell is happening right here, right now. And
or how big it is, how big this news is.
So she took a screenshot of me when I was shocked. And then she was like, your face throughout this whole conversation has been very memeable, because like I was just going through the emotions. And at one point she says, you're not going to cry, are you? And I was like, no, but I could.
Yeah.
But I was quite teary, and she was just looking at me like, "You taking the piss?"
Imagine like your friends. So imagine like anyone who's listening. Like imagine you're in a crisis and you've got Simone or just someone, your friend, like distracted while you're in a crisis. Like, how do you react to that? If it's Silverstone and Lewis has overtaken the race, I'm like, girl, you know what? I get it. This is big news. But if it was anything else, I'd be like, can you not see like I'm on the phone because I'm in a crisis, Simone? Like, but you know what? Silverstone takes precedent, especially this weekend. Yeah. So as you know, like when I make my notes, I kind of go like lap by lap, and if there's something interesting that happens on a lap, I'll say whatever. One of the first things that I picked up on, apart from like everybody's good starts and whatever, one of the things that I picked up on and I wrote down on lap 4 was that Alex Albon was saying there was something wrong with his car, and Williams was saying, oh no, it's fine. And then we get a call in from one of the drivers, and I should have noted down who it was actually, but one of them saying, oh, Alex has got some bodywork falling off his car. So what had happened was, I think when everyone was in the earlier laps and everyone had taken off, I think Alex had a collision or contact. I think it was with Alonso, but basically we didn't see it because nobody cared about it. No one was watching Alex and Alonso and Lance Stroll and all these, and Zoe and whatever. No one cared. Everyone knew the assignment this weekend. And everyone knew this was about Lewis, Lando, George, and Max, and a bit of Oscar Piastri. But that came through, and it just made me think, you know what, Williams, like you are supposed to be representing at Silverstone too, as a historically British car company in Formula One, you should be representing too. And instead, you've got Alex telling you something's wrong with his car, and you saying, oh no, it's fine. And next thing you know, something's falling off his car. And I just thought, Williams, everybody in who's British in F1 has pulled up. Everybody's pulled up. We've got a 1, 2, 3 start, and Williams, you can't even listen to your driver saying there's something wrong with his car. So how Alex managed to even complete that race, I don't know. But, that was one of the things that I picked up on that was happening around lap 4. I made a note very early on about who should have been my stay at home. We'll get to that. One thing I thought was interesting, Simone, I'll get your opinion on this. I'm sure you're just going to be like, why are you even asking me this? I made a note to say that oh god, she knows it's coming. The faces she's pulling. Lance Stroll in qualifying outperformed his teammate. I think it's like 2 weeks in a row. Okay. And we have a lot of conversations on this pod about, Lance Stroll, what's he doing in F1? His dad, this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. But one thing I tend to be the person who more often, sticks up for him and says, but actually, he's doing quite well. He's consistent, whatever. And I just wanted to get your take on, okay, this is 2 weeks in a row now. He has outperformed his teammate in terms of qualifying and starting. I need to check where he finished. I feel like you're doing that now.
7th. He finished 7th.
Yeah. And where did Alonso finish?
9th.
9th, exactly, right? So I just wanted to get an updated take from you on, are you changing any feelings towards Lance Stroll, or are we still, no, I'm totally against him?
Absolutely not. My feelings on Lance Stroll still remain the same. I mean, when the news came that he was continuing his contract, I swear it's until 2026.
So what are we in at 4? So that's 2 more seasons after this one.
I think a lot of people on the internet, well, from what I saw on F1 internet, were like, oh, this is such a surprise. He's staying at Aston Martin. Oh my God. Everyone who was literally taking the piss, this isn't even breaking news. Tell us something we don't know. It would have been more of a surprise if they'd gone, obviously, for somebody new, someone younger, a different driver, anyone else. Of course he's going to stay. What is he going to do? Where's he going to go? My feelings haven't changed on Alex. My feelings haven't changed on Lance Stroll because I still don't think he's a great driver. He doesn't really do anything for me. Yes, you are outperforming your teammate, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're great or you're good.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So I'm still not sold on this guy. I still don't get any vibes from him that he wants to be here. You know what, actually, with Lance, he's one of those people that sort of flies under the radar a little bit, just comes, turns up to work, does his job, goes home, no fuss, nothing. Like, there's a few little bits here and there you might hear of something happening in quali or whatever not, or practice. But come race day, he just turns up to work, does his job, clocks back out, on to the next one.
Okay. Fair enough, fair enough. I just didn't know whether you'd still been swayed any differently, but fine. Another note that I have made going through the race around lap 7 was that there was a big gap between Daniel Ricciardo and Logan Sargent. I should have noted at what point they were. They were quite far down the pack, but they weren't last. And at this point, I know we've also talked about Daniel Ricciardo quite a lot on the podcast. At this point, I was actually glad that Logan Sargent was quite ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. And
Why they don't race with the same people?
No. Hang on a minute.
Okay, sorry.
Because normally Logan Sargent is he's either crashed out, he's last, he's really bad, or whatever, you know. But I actually quite liked that he was doing better than Daniel Ricciardo, and I think that is saying something. Because exactly, if this had been 2 years ago, I wouldn't like this. I wouldn't be saying this, but I actually quite liked that Logan Sargent was doing better than Daniel Ricciardo, because I don't think I want anyone out of F1 more at the moment.
You want Daniel Ricciardo at that much?
Yeah, I know, and I just thought, I don't know, like I just thought, yeah. I heard, I was reading on Twitter, was it Twitter? No, Instagram today. That they're not ruling out a potential Daniel Ricciardo return to Red Bull mid-season, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, what?
It's weird, isn't it? It's actually quite weird. I did hear that as well. But then I was thinking, nah, that can't be. I don't think Christian Horner would want, I don't think that Christian would do that. I'd like to think he wouldn't, because why would you go backwards instead of going forwards? Because already Perez is he's no matchup for Max. Like, he isn't even a threat, even in the slightest. He does nothing. And everyone said, like, since Perez has signed this contract to keep him at Red Bull, he's just gone back and back and back. Like, I don't remember the last time this guy scored flipping points.
Wow.
Like, you finished 17th today. 17th, and you're meant to be in one of the fastest cars on the track. That's ridiculous. That's painful.
Yeah. And I think like a Ricciardo return to Red Bull is like, but why? He's not particularly doing any better than Perez. I mean, he might have today actually, but he's not, doing any better than Perez. I don't know why like they're entertaining that, and who knows, they might not be entertaining that. But the point is that that's where Daniel Ricciardo obviously believes he should be, or some people speculate he should be. But I just don't get it. Like, I was happy that Logan Sargent was doing better than Daniel Ricciardo. I just thought, well, yeah, because we know who the people, we've spoken about this many times, who shouldn't be on that grid anymore. And Logan Sargent, to be fair, is one of them. But the fact that he was doing better than Daniel Ricciardo, and there was a big gap, that's why I made the note of this, there was a big gap between them, just made me think, come on, surely people get it now. If you're doing worse than Logan Sargent, surely people get it.
The fact that, Logan's actually 11th today, he finished 11th on the grid.
Yeah.
That's probably one of his highest finishes ever. Like, you were just one place away from getting points. That is big for you, because normally you're at the back of the pack or you're out.
Yeah. And Alex Albon finished 9th. And again, I thought that for Williams, that was quite a good result. And it's Silverstone, so at least Alex got into the points. And yeah, I don't know, it just made me think that, like, if you were doing worse than Williams, then there's an issue, is what I'm saying. But maybe they tried to pull out all the stops because it was Silverstone. There was a few good overtakes. I think this is when the race started to get a bit more interesting. So like lap 16, lap 17, this is where Lando overtook Max. I was like, yay, in my notes. 17, Oscar took over Max. Yay, in my notes. And this is where I think it was starting to get like very interesting, because this is when you knew, right, okay, we're only at lap 16. We're a quarter of the way in, but it could be a non-Max Verstappen finish first.
Because he was so far behind, I was like, ain't no way he's done. He's getting on a flipping podium. But Max was like, come hell or high water, I'm getting on a podium. And I was like, for God's sake, you. For God's
I know it's so bad, and I think the last episode, the last episode we recorded, so not the last race, it was the race before that. Max, I think, was my star boy. I would just like to point out that if we recorded the Austrian Grand Prix last week, my should have stayed at home would have been Max. And I know actually, I don't know what did he? No, he didn't win. George won. But he would have been my should have stayed at home because of what he did to Lando. I thought it was inexcusable. It was his fault. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he would have been my should have stayed at home. This week, I went as far as calling this guy a demon. I was like, "How is this guy coming for Lewis?" Honestly, I was just like, and obviously, my point I was making before is I do like Max. I have had him as my star boy many a time before, blah blah blah. But this week, I was like, "Don't you come for Lewis and Lando? Hold him back." But yeah. I don't know. The fact that Max is on a podium, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But I was hoping when we were a quarter way in, actually, it might not be a Max like first place finish, which would be really nice for Silverstone, I thought.
Yeah.
Simone, I don't know how much you're across this, but can we talk a little bit about tyres?
We can talk about, but can I just say that there was many different race leaders in this race today.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoyed the fact that they kept changing. Okay. It was George, then it was Lewis, it was Lando. Okay.
Was Oscar leading at one point?
Did what?
It was Oscar leading at one point. Did he manage
I think he might have been temporarily leading while they were in the pits.
Yeah, I think, yeah. And I was loving that too.
Because I was like, this could go either way. It could actually have gone either way. So yeah, tyres, carry on.
Well, actually, just off the back of your point, this race, Silverstone felt like real F1. It felt unpredictable. It felt fast paced. It was exciting. It just had absolutely everything you want in Formula One. And that's why, and it's not even because it's Silverstone and it's British and whatever, but that is why it was probably my favourite race of the season so far.
Even over Canada.
You know how bad my memory is, and I can't remember what happened in Canada.
Canada was where
Lando won? No.
Max won. This was, I want to say it might have been after Miami. So Max won in Canada, but this was where there was a red flag?
Oh, you're right about calling Canada, because I remember at the time Sean Apollo said this was my favourite race of the season so far.
Yes, because
we were raving about that
there was
race.
a lot happening, and there was that battle between Max and Lando a little bit because I think Lando might have came in a little bit too late to change his tyres. This was when also one of the Haas team were also up in the graphic.
Yeah, okay,
I want to say Kevin Magnussen. I was driving, listening to it.
Yeah. I remember us recording that race. I remember you talk about how you were in the car listening to it, and we had to fill in the gaps where you were listening on the radio and not watching it. But yeah, I would, by far, this was my favorite race of the season so far, because I would say, there was a lot less action. Like even I was talking to my mum-in-law, and she was like, "Oh, were there any crashes?" And I was like, "No, there wasn't any crashes in Silverstone, but there didn't need to be. It had the result that I wanted." Well, mostly, we need to talk about tyres, okay? We need to talk about tyres. Lando should have been on mediums, and even I called that. And you know me, like I'm terrible with like the tyre strategy and whatever. I'm like, oh, I don't know what any of this means, whatever. Even I was like, no, Lando needs to be on mediums. When he came out in softs, I was like, what the hell is that S doing next to his name on screen? Even I, and do you know what the worst thing was? And they talked about this. They were saying there was too many options for him. There's a lot going on. And you can't make a decision in that. And he's really blaming himself. I'm not being funny. Like, I know he's blaming himself, and yeah, he could have said mediums. But when you're saying, right, Lando, so we can go on softs right now, and that'll hold you till we go out, or we can go on mediums, so we can hold up Max. And blah, blah, blah. No, this was happening while he was in the pit lane driving to change his tires. You should have known to put him on mediums. You've even said it will help him challenge Max in a minute. So why did you not just say, oh yeah, that makes more sense, we'll put him on me? Don't let him blame himself when you know what the strategy should have been.
I think they changed that because they were thinking the tire strategy that he was on will be able to help him hold back Lewis, but it didn't. It didn't. It didn't.
It bloody didn't. And if you had seen me screaming at the TV, Lando, hold him back, hold him. And when I saw Lando literally just move over, I forgot which way, move over to the left or the right or whatever. And I just thought he didn't even try. He knew he couldn't even try.
He couldn't defend that. He couldn't defend it. And I was like, luckily, obviously, it wasn't a repeat of last race, but he couldn't defend it even if he tried. He had nothing left. And then Red Bull were on the radio to Max saying, "Hey, the cars in front have got some damage. You know, I can see it. I can see they've got some damage, so you can get them." Let me tell you, if this race was not 52 laps, Lord have mercy, we might have been talking about a different winner. But luckily, it was 52 laps, and Lewis held it.
Honestly, because I thought, right, if Lewis and Lando like play this right now, then you know it'll be good. Whatever. Lando couldn't even be in the game at this point.
Couldn't defend for shit.
He couldn't. He wasn't even there. Honestly, man, I can't tell you how much I was screaming at that point. Other tire strategies that were just an absolute shambles. Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez.
I almost forgot about them.
How, Simone, I couldn't even forget about them. It was so bad. Like, I couldn't even because it was that ingrained in my memory about how, like, there was multiple things here. So basically, at the start of the race, it must have been from the very start, actually. I don't think it was when they pit. At the start of the race, they were on intermediate tyres. And there was a couple of other people as well. Actually, I made a note of who was on intermediate tyres.
I think they thought it was really going to downpour. Like, it was going to be, like, really, really wet.
Yeah.
Which, obviously, earlier in the morning, it was really wet. Like, I even said, like, 11:30, 11:45, it torrential rain. It came by where I was as well. But then it went.
Yeah, Zoe was on intermediate tyres as well, but forget that. He's not even the person we need to talk about, that, you know, that forget all of them.
If you notice, all the intermediates were down at the bottom of the grid.
Exactly. Charles Leclerc and Perez, seriously, that was a massive fuck up. It was a massive fuck up. Like, I can't, like, on those intermediate tyres, I don't know what the hell they were thinking. And at one point, I was thinking, why aren't the team calling him in? The team, so for example, with Charles Leclerc, why aren't the team calling him in? Why aren't they calling him in? They need to be doing something. And actually, what some of the commentators were saying, and I didn't really think about it, but yeah, I'm sure that they're right. You know, a lot of them were drivers too. They were saying it's actually a driver error. They were saying that Charles Leclerc is on the track. He should know whether these tires can handle it or not. He should know, like, how wet, where the wet spots are, where the dry spots are, and if he's running up his tires. So at that point, he should be saying, "Oh, I need to come in these tires, etc., etc."
Okay.
So, because I was thinking, oh, why aren't the team calling him in? But they were saying actually it's a bit of a driver error, which I thought was really interesting because I didn't think of it like that. I just kind of thought, well, surely the team should make a call and say, Charles, you're down at like 17th or something. We need to change your tyres.
That's interesting because they, on the pit wall in the cruise, they have data that obviously the drivers don't have, not just on tyres, but weather and whatnot's coming. Like, these guys are just driving, so they can give you data that you don't have, because there's been times where drivers have said, actually, I want to come in and change this tire, and your engineer said, actually, no, you know, we're not changing this tire, or we're not putting this tire on, we're going to keep you out. So I don't know about saying that it's a driver error. Yes, he can say, oh, you know, this tire doesn't feel right, whatnot, but does that mean you would have let him come into the pits and change his tires because he said it doesn't feel right, when we know that your strategies are all over the place at Ferrari? Let's not joke about. But I don't believe that it would have worked like that. I think you can say that in hindsight. Oh yeah, it's a bit of a driver error. He should have come in and said that. But really and truly, is that how you would have played it, Ferrari? Because even when Charles or Carlos Sainz said before, I don't think I should be on this strategy, or don't think I should be on this tire. Have you letting them come in and change their tire? Just be like, yeah, I'm going to come in and change this tire. Like,
so that's an interesting opinion, actually, Simone, because I made a note of this. Lap 21, they were trying to get Lewis to change his tires to Inters, right? And Lewis refused and said, no, I'm not coming in to change my tyres to Inters, it's too soon. Whereas Perez, Ocon, Zhou, Leclerc were all on Inters and doing terribly. And it's just interesting that they wanted Lewis to come in and change the tyres, and he put his foot on and he said no. And that's why when they were talking about previously, oh, Charles Leclerc, like that, the driver should have said, like, it's a driver error. That's what made me think, actually, yeah, maybe they're right. Because if Lewis is saying no, it's too soon, Charles should have spoke up as well and said, my tyres are getting mash up, bring me in. Time for strategy G, time for plan B, not plan A on these Inters. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not saying he shouldn't have said, like, he should say something if that is the case. But I'm just saying, would Ferrari have even listened if he'd said, actually, these aren't working?
Ferrari better listen when Lewis rocks up there, because at the end of the day, if Lewis is even saying to his team, I'm not coming in, it's too soon, what the hell are Ferrari going to do then?
This reminded me of yesterday in the England game where this was like towards, I want to say it would have been like towards full time, like towards like 90 minutes ish. And then the substitutes were coming on, and then they held up the board, and then Jude Bellingham was looking over. Well, he wasn't even looking over actually. So he was like, oh, it's Jude Bellingham, he's about to come off. And Jude was like, not me.
It ain't me. You know you ain't. You got it wrong. You got it wrong, son.
By the time Jude turned around and saw, he was like, nah, can't be me. Can't be me. Can't be me. It can't be me, the potential goal scorer that you're about to take off.
And the thing is, even if it was supposed to be him, he was like, nah, that ain't it. Like, nah.
Not me.
Absolutely. And it turns out that they were wrong. But imagine if he had gone he wasn't even looking at one point. They were trying to get his attention, that the commentators, oh, they're trying to get his attention. He's not even like, it ain't me. It can't be me, and it ain't gonna be me. I'm not coming off. And that's Lewis. And sometimes when you get to a certain point in your career, or when you're a certain don, a certain heavyweight, I think you're allowed to have those privileges and be like, no.
Yeah, I think Jude knew, but he chose not to say. I genuinely think he knew what they were trying to signal him for, because he would have known the ball's gone out of play. Like they would have known the substitute's about to come. He said, nah, not me. It's not my number that you're calling. And that just reminded me of Lewis, as in like, nah, I'm not coming in. I'm staying out. Yeah. Obviously, Charles, if you feel that the tyres are shit, say I'm coming in. But I'm just saying, would Ferrari even adhered to that? Would they have actually helped you in that situation?
Well, what was interesting, I thought, was that they didn't. You never heard Charles Leclerc once on this radio. Now, that I thought was strange. When he's doing particularly bad like that, I would have thought you would have heard Ferrari on the radio being like, right, Charles, we're changing strategy. Right, Charles, we're doing this now. Right, oh, let's do this. You didn't hear them once on the radio. And I thought that was really weird. I thought that was so odd that they didn't ever play like any of Charles Leclerc on the radio and his engineer. Something went right about that. But yeah, the tyre strategies this time round were terrible. Like, I made another note on lap 23, like Ocon had already pitted twice and now they're going to change his tyres again. And I was just like, oh my God, like, I don't know, Simone, but yeah.
My poor baby, my French babes didn't even bloody start, did he? Pierre Gasly. There was Pierre. We didn't even get to see you on track. Literally, like, well, we did see you on track, but like for 5 seconds, and then you had to come off.
Did we? Well, actually, Simone, that I think, unless there's anything else you want to mention about the race, I think that brings us nicely on to I should have stayed at home.
Should have stayed at home.
Who was your should have stayed at home, Simone?
My should have stayed at home is...
Let's keep it real.
There's a number of should have stayed at homes for me.
Mm-hmm.
One definite is should have stayed at home is Sergio Perez. I actually just think you should just take the rest of the season off. Just chill. Just go to the pool, chill in the mansion, do whatever you want to do. I don't know, do something. Just don't come here. Just don't come to work. Okay, that's it. Also, I kind of think George should have stayed at home. Okay, because this feels like it's definitely the second time that George has been on pole, and you have not. You've not. What's the word I'm looking for?
Performed. I don't know.
You've not. This doesn't turn into a
executed.
win for you. This doesn't turn into a win for you.
Yeah.
Right. You know what? I think it was like a mechanical error. I don't think it was a driver situation with George, but what a disappointing weekend for you. Okay? What a disappointing weekend for you. So this is not the first time you have been on pole position. You've been in a good position to win a race and you haven't won.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So I made a note of this. Lap 34, George retired, WATF, problem with the water system. So there was an issue with the water system. I'm gonna go back to one of Anita's conspiracy theories here, right? I feel like but maybe she would disagree with this actually, but I'll bring my inner Anita out. It just made me think, why is George's water system, and even though I'm saying it's such a rare issue to have, it's such a rare thing to have, why was that happening to George at Silverstone? I wonder, because what they were talking about is, if George's car was on form, could it have been like a 1-2 Mercedes win, but could it have been George at the top? And Toto 7 days ago said Lewis is going to have a win.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. And he meant the next one. He meant the next one because George won this one. So George ain't winning the next one. And this is Lewis's home. He has a whole straight named after him. He has a whole corner named after him. Like this is Lewis's time. I'm sorry, George, you got to step aside. No, I don't know. I don't know if it was a conspiracy of that, but it was interesting because, like I say, you did start on pole and you didn't win. Okay, fine, fair enough if you want him to be, you should say that. But I would say it was not his fault at all, and he still performed really well in qualifying to even be starting on pole position. So if you want to have to say that, fine. I'll allow that because mine is actually Perez. Perez cemented. That is my should have stayed home. I'd have threw George in there because he didn't finish, but I don't really care. But Perez absolutely should have stayed home.
Okay, so this is interesting because Perez was my throw in there one. He was my throw in, should have stayed at home, right? My actual should have stayed at home was Pierre Gasly. And this is why I was going to let you off about coming for George, because I'm thinking now, yeah, come for George. I'm about to come for your baby too. I'm about to come for you too. So if you want to make George stay home, that's okay. I'm cool with it because I knew where I was going with it. I knew that Pierre Gasly, your baby, your favorite, your number one, was about to be my should have stayed at home. But the thing is, Simone, and that's what's like, keep it real. He shouldn't have turned up. He shouldn't have. He didn't even. And I'm not saying it's his fault.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. It wasn't a good weekend for him.
It wasn't a good weekend for him, and it's not like, not even. I'm not even going to say anything bad about him or the team or whatever. It's just, I know if given should have stayed at home previously for less, for the Logan Sargent not even leaving the pit. At least Pierre actually got out and came back in. But at the end of the day, like, nah, there was no point in you coming. And maybe it's a bit of a cop-out, I don't know, but I just thought there was no point in him coming. And as you know, I've been trying to keep an eye on him on just on races in general, because I want him to be good. I want him to be up there. I want to root for him. He's at the same, like with the Alex Albon, I want him to be good. I want to root for him, all these things. But he's just not doing nothing. He's not doing nothing. And this weekend, I think, was the worst. And we haven't spoken about Pierre Gasly a lot. And I would say even more so in a way where we're talking about him, but we're not saying he's a star boy, and we're not saying he should have stayed at home either, which is ringing alarm bells. That's someone you need to watch. So for me, Pierre Gasly was my should have stayed at home. But to be honest, actually, we're going to go on to star boy anyway. So if you're happy to, Simone, if you're not emotional by my choice, I should have stayed at home.
Of course not. So my star boy is none other than the number 44, Lewis Hamilton.
Oh my god, I just noticed you got your top on. Yes.
Have you only just noticed that?
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't clock until I think it's because of the where you're sitting. Like I can only see half it, so I'm not really clocking like that, if that makes sense. But oh, of course, now I can see that the Mercedes logo and everything. Fine.
Yeah. So yeah, Lewis is definitely almost my star boy. He had a good weekend, and you really got to see a driver in just answer so many questions. People said, "Oh, he only drives good in a really good car," and blah blah. This car's not the best. It's not the fucking fastest. We know that. We've seen it. But whatever they've done in the past couple of weeks, obviously, is working. It was so emotional. Lewis has not been on a podium since 2021 as a winner. Okay, he's been on podiums, yes, but not as a winner. Since Saudi Arabia. So to see him up there, the hard work, the him and Bono. Listen, when Bono said to him on the radio, right, this is what Lando's on. Lando's on these tires, and Lewis said, just shut up and let me work. Bono was like,
leave it to me, mate. That's all right. Leave it to me. I was like, yes, Lewis. Yes, we'll leave it to you. You're the expert. You're the goat.
even Bono said, I knew when he said that, I was like, he could win this. But okay. Honestly, it was beautiful to see, and it was really emotional. I was so teary because I was like, we haven't seen this in a while. When he went up and he hugged his dad, when he hugged his mom, I was like, oh, we've waited so long for this. I'm sorry, but we waited for a very long time. It was deserved. He drove well. The strategy was right. He was on the right tires. It was wet. It rained. It was dry. It gave everything a good Lewis Hamilton race should give, basically.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, need I say any more? Not really. There's no words. Emotional, yes, I was emotional because it wasn't even like Lewis just raced well. You know, like back in the day, Lewis, where he was just winning to win. It was like, no, he worked for it as well, and he's shown why and how he's such an incredible driver. It kind of frustrated me in a way that he did so well for Silverstone, but hasn't been able to execute that for like the rest of the season, or like the latter part of the season, the season so far, right? Because I was
still
just
got
like,
races to go.
no, we do, and I really hope that we see that Lewis now going forward. I hope that gives him the motivation that he needs, or the kick, or the confidence that he needs, because dare I say it, and I don't want to be the person to say it, and I said this in our WhatsApp group chat, is that if Lewis like doesn't perform like he has done in Silverstone today, and if Ferrari perform as they have done in Silverstone today, we could be looking at Sir Lewis Hamilton's last race win.
Man, I couldn't believe it in the group chat. I was like, fuck's sake, I'm not even responding.
I know. And you know that I keep it real. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if Ferrari, because Ferrari, they're not up to it. Lewis is up to it. And I think he's proven that. He showed Lewis is up to it. Lewis can win his real 8th world championship. His real, the real one. Not the one we keep talking about, the actual one.
No.
Lewis is up to it.
He could, and he can.
Yeah, he can. Like he can do it, and everyone believes. Like everyone, no one. The real Lewis fans have never been in disbelief. Everyone's known he can do it, but everybody else who doubted, like, oh, we ain't seen from Lewis in a couple of years. The haters, they're back on board. They know Lewis can do this. He's the one. He's the GOAT. But if Ferrari aren't up to it, nah, this contract needs to be cancelled with Ferrari. I need Oscar out. I need Oscar out, and I need Lewis in McLaren. And I'm telling you, Lewis will get the 8th. I'm telling you. And Oscar, I love you. Oscar, I love you so much. You're like one of my favorite drivers ever, I swear. But I need room for Lewis and McLaren. I need him to get this 8th so he can retire peacefully. Because I get it. I've been there in my mental health. I've been there where you can't let it go because you know you can do something. And I'm just saying, if I'm looking at Lewis Hamilton's today, last race win, because Ferrari don't cut it, I'm not, no need to say anymore. All I'm saying is that I believe in Lewis. I believe in him. And I just don't believe in Ferrari right now.
I think a lot of people don't believe in Ferrari right now because you ain't won since Monaco. That was a little while. That was in May. We are in July. So it's not looking good. Yes.
The
It's
thing
a
with
shame.
Ferrari is the lack of consistency.
Oh
It's
my
not
God,
like
it's so up and down.
yeah, it's not. I don't think they're not consistent. Yeah, they won in May. Oh, that's great. They had a win in May, but that's not going to get Lewis his eighth. Like, be real. Do you know what I mean? So,
Well,
so yeah,
we'll
that's
see
how
what
I
they come up with. We'll see.
obviously. I should point out, obviously, my star boy is also Lewis Hamilton, but
Good.
one person I actually want to give some props to, and I cannot believe I'm even saying this, is Nico Hulkenberg.
Same.
What is
Consistently getting passed up there.
Oh my God, for real, this guy finished sixth. Can we just talk? Nico Hulkenberg in a Haas finished sixth. Are
Mental.
you? No. I had to give props for him. Like, if Lewis wasn't going to be my star boy, it had to be Nico Hulkenberg.
Mental.
Yeah, it's just because I didn't even clock, like I was clocking he was doing well, but I was so engrossed of like, Lando, hold him back, Lewis, drive. I was so like all up in like the 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't even clock anybody else.
Me neither. I wasn't even looking elsewhere what was going on. I wasn't even looking what was happening at the bottom of the grid.
Yeah,
Never mind the middle.
yeah. Nico Hulkenberg, like you are like my also Starboy, because it had to be Lewis this week, obviously, but Nico Hulkenberg, like props. And I've never, ever, ever given Nico Hulkenberg a Starboy, so there's your little badge. Well done. Keep it up, because you know I do have like support for the underdogs. So yeah. Oh, Simone, we've got a
Honestly.
week off Formula One, and we're coming back for. I checked it. This is what I'm saying. My memory's so bad. I checked this before we started because I wanted to say, oh, and we're back for, and I forgot. Oh, God.
Hungary. We're back for the Hungary Grand Prix, which is 19th to the 21st
Do
of
you recall
July.
this race last year was so dead? It was so dead. It might have been the race where Daniel Ricciardo came back and like something was wrong with his wrist or something.
Yes, because it was after Silverstone that he did a test. They'd stayed at Silverstone, did some test runs, and apparently, Christian was like, the time he did would have put him on. Is it the front row or something behind Max? So we were really impressed, and I was like, you do know that what he's doing right now is not in an actual race, okay?
Yeah.
And then he went to RB, and then a little after that, he broke his wrist because he was trying to not crash into Logan Sargent, was it? Or something?
Something like that. But I just remember the race being dead and me complaining that Daniel Ricciardo has only been back for like 1 week and he's out again. And I was like, what? And this is when I was a very big, a huge lover of Daniel Ricciardo. But I feel like from that point now, we've had 12 months. So technically like a whole season, you might say, the end of last one, the start of this one. And we haven't seen anything. And I'm just like, nah. But I also want to point out like how sad I was in this race that Lando Norris was on podium, but was still upset.
He
And I
always
thought,
is, actually, because he wants to win and he know he could have.
yeah, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And forget him even win, like even if he was second, like next to Lewis on the podium, that would have been just, well, I guess technically he's next to him, if that makes sense. But he's not, you know what
Yeah, but it's just that one step closer. Like I think he deserved to be second. He absolutely did. But like he doesn't like it because he knows he knows that he's got the car to be better. He really and truly has, especially in Austria. But obviously he got taken out by Max. Yeah, in Canada you had it, but your strategy was all wrong. So it's just a shame for him.
So I just hope for Hungary, which is usually a pretty dead race. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the track. I don't know, but it's usually pretty dead. I'm hoping that Hungary, like, we see Lando back on his rise again. Oh,
Wow. Well, you know what? What a race. What a great British Grand Prix that we have seen. We've seen Sir Lewis Hamilton back on the top step of the podium.
I was actually chanting. I was like, Lewis the goat, Lewis the goat, Lewis bringing it home.
Did you say that song yourself?
Yeah, I did a minute myself. I was literally just saying it, and then it kind of rhymed a little bit. I was like, whoa, this is what we need every year. A chant for Lewis. Like,
I do wish I was at Silverstone. I'm actually quite jealous of everybody that was there because they got to see something that we ain't seen.
yeah. Next year, Simone, we are going to make it to Silverstone.
Yeah, you know what? Let me turn my light on. It's so dark. I've gone so dark. I've just blended into the background. Oh, God.
Oh man, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say a damn thing.
I
I'm
did. I
not
just
gonna
blended
say
in because I was so dark.
You know the memes. Well, nothing to add from me, Simone. Just an incredible race. Silverstone just amazing. Super happy with the results, super happy with the race.
But if anyone was listening to Radio 1 Newsbeat early in the week, they would have heard me talking about the Grand Prix, Silverstone Grand Prix, and also the incident that happened in Austria with Lance with Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. And actually, Chanise, I said, but this wasn't in the piece, but I've still got the recording in case anyone wants to doubt me. I actually said, I think there's going to be a British driver that wins the at Silverstone, and I'd love to, and I did say I'd love it to be Lewis, but I'm not sure. And what did I say? Yeah, I said it either could be Lewis or Lando, and I did say that, and Lewis won, and Lewis and Lando was up there. I didn't predict Max to be up there though. That's for sure. I
don't know if Max was supposed to be up there. A lot happened, like George shouldn't have been out. He should have been up there. That would have took a spot. Do you know what I mean? Lando should have been on mediums. That would have took the spot. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Max was supposed to be up there. But I would say to you, Simone, well done for your predictions. One, again, it just reaffirms the point. You hear it here first on the pod. The predictions are always coming through.
They are indeed. Unfortunately, Max did make it up there, which kind of ruins it a little bit, because if it would have been all three British guys, it would have just been lovely. And I'm not even a patriotic person like that, but I'm sorry, it just would have been a little bit better. But hey ho, it wasn't meant to
Hey
be.
ho, on to Hungary.
But you know what also makes this sweeter is that Lewis fought for this win and he won it. He wasn't necessarily gifted it like George was last week. So this just makes it that extra bit sweeter that, and sorry, nothing really against George, but I'm just saying, like, he didn't get the win because people were out. He got the win because of how he drove and his strategy was good. And look who he is.
We get it, Simone. You love Lewis. We get it. We know you don't like George. You love Lewis. We know. Yo, dig at George. Yeah, he was gifted it, don't get me wrong, but yes, I agree. I just hope that Lewis can bring that same energy for the next race.
I'm sure he can.
Well, hear what we have to say about it in 2 weeks' time.
Yes. I'm going to be walking around with a smile on my face with my 44 top on. I can actually wear a Mercedes top now. You know what I mean? And not be ashamed or cover it up. I can be like, hey, that's my boy.
We're not going to hear the end of it, and somebody's not going to take this top off. In fact, Lewis might even be her star boy again next week just because of what he did this week. That could be the case.
My friend said to me, oh, is Lewis your guy? And I said, well, because obviously he's my WhatsApp picture, me and Lewis, and it's on my Twitter. And I said, I'm not changing my picture unless I get a new picture with Lewis. Like, it's never going to, since 2018, the picture hasn't changed. My profile picture hasn't changed on WhatsApp. It's not changed on Twitter. It's me and Lewis at Sports Personality of the Year. And yeah, I'm not changing it unless I see Lewis and we take a new picture together. It's that simple.
Do you know what chant just came into my head? I'm Lewis till I die. I'm Lewis till I die. I'm Lewis till I die.
Oh, funny.
I was just like, this is so Simone. This is ringing in my head. My brain is like, it's always mush, and everyone knows I forget everything. But it's like there's always like tunes, diddly diddly diddly, some shit going on in my head, and that is just the perfect example in that moment of the tune that was in my head for you, Simone.
Yeah, I'm not changing it until I see Lewis again and it's like, yeah, let's take another picture. Then I'll change it. Till then.
Hopefully we'll meet him this time next year at Silverstone. But on to Hungary in a couple of weeks' time, everyone. thanks so much for listening. Do let us know what your thoughts were. We always like to hear what everybody else is thinking, and whether are we totally wrong on our Star Boys and should have said, oh, please let us know what your thoughts are on that too.
And we're also on Apple Podcasts now, so you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, and we're on Instagram and on TikTok, and it's at Wheel It Up F1.